Hi guys, Grunokage here from Critical Effect with episode 3 of this Intro to Wormhole series. This episode's all on huffing and anything to do with gas extraction. We're going to go over the fits, how to find gas sites, what every gas site is and what they give you, and tips for staying safe and not dying inside your prospect. Keyword there, prospect, so that's how we're starting off. Used to be able to huff with a venture, but they're phasing that out, so I highly recommend that you get yourself a prospect. I have seen people do it with Gnosises, but I can't recommend it. Get yourself a prospect. They're a little skill intensive, but nonetheless you'll be very happy and you will make your money back. Looking at this fit, we have a covert ops cloak and 2 gas cloud harvesters in the top. If you need to meta the gas cloud harvesters, go ahead and do so. Otherwise, I highly recommend the Tech 2 ones. Get more gas per hour. In the mediums, we have a small shield booster, 1 MN afterburner, and a multi-spectrum shield hardener. The hardener and the booster allow us to stay on grid on certain sites, meaning we can Jedi Huff. Otherwise, if we had a warp off grid, that's called ninja huffing, when you run away when the rats come. In the lows, we got a damage control unit, overdrive ejector, and a capacitor flux coil. This is going to help with the cap pressure, making us go fast, and overall damage. And finally, in the rig slot, we have 2 polycarbonate engine housings. So that's the fit. Let's go over the specs. As we can see, this thing goes pretty fast, 1,300 meters a second. For ninja huffing on instrumentals, you need to go at least 1,200 meters a second, and I recommend going about probably exactly 1,200, to be honest. If you go too fast, you'll actually screw yourself over. But 1,200 gives you that perfect distance maintenance, and you'll keep your orbit around them really nicely. If we turn our afterburner off, we're a 4-second aligned ship. With it on, we're a 5-second aligned ship, so we're a little slow. So if we see something on D-scan, we got to start warping away right then, right there. Alright, so that's it for this ship. Let's go ahead and find some gas sites. I'm going to go ahead, get in my scanning ship here. For anyone curious what the scanning ship is fit as, it's the same as the last episode. We're going to go find a wormhole and start scanning down to get us some gas sites. Taking off here in Ren's this time, not Jedi. You go to our agency tab. We're going to look for local anomalies. 2 jumps away, we have 4. I like those odds. Let's head on over there. Now, this one seems to go into unknown space, C1 to C3. That's fine, we're going to save the way in. And let's get on in there. Just as a footnote, I'm scanning out this low sec because I'm hoping that there's going to be another wormhole somewhere else coming out of here. Oop. And just like that, another wormhole. Sweet. This adventure will continue. And another side note, I did find this Ghost Nebula. I believe this is a low sec, high sec kind of gas site. I personally don't huff that stuff because I don't reprocess it, but if you wanted to go huff it, you could. Alright, finally our first gas site. So if you haven't noticed, when I go out and look for content, whether it be for this episode or the last episode, as I try to scan down everything and bookmark everything, because maybe, let's say if I start, I'm at the 30-minute mark by the way, let's say I get to the hour mark of scanning, if I haven't yet found a gas site, maybe I should be doing something else. I found some data sites, one of which I can run as a faction site, found a decent amount of combat sites. So we found ourselves a bountiful. Save that with the gas tag, and I'm going to keep scanning to see if we can find more gas sites. Alright, at this point I am done scanning. I have found myself 2 gas sites to huff. And we're going to head on back to Ren's, grab our huffer, and get on out here and start huffing. And and then we'll go over a lot of data. Alright, while we head on back, let's address something different. If you haven't noticed, all this scanning that I'm doing really eats up a lot of time, which is why day trippers don't really make as much money as actual wormholers, even though day trippers do get their content out of wormholes. When I log on with my group of about, let's say, 5 active scanners, they've already scouted out the entire chain, so all I have to do is just look through the bookmark list, see if there's something I want, and then go find it on the map and warp on over. So if I want to huff, I can huff. If I want to do relic sites, I can do relic sites. There is no scanning period, unless I'm scanning for the sake of the chain. There's no scanning period involved in getting this content. It just matters what content is given to you. Alright, so we are here back in system with our first gas site, the Bountiful. Before I warp, let's address something about gas sites, and that's the fact that they have spawn timers for the NPCs. When you warp to a gas site, it initiates this timer, which will then count down, and at the end of it, it'll spawn the NPCs. Each gas site has its own specific NPCs that spawn to it, varying degrees of difficulty and varying degrees of ways to get around it. As we warp on over, we are going to get a safe going for us. I'd rather warp to a safe than warp to something else if someone is watching me getting ready to gank me. If you warp to a gas site and it already has rats on it, that means someone else has already warped to it and spawned the rats. It's a big bummer, but it happens. If we look around, we have C28 and C32. I always huff the little cloud before the big cloud, orbit 500, turn on your afterburner, and I'm going to turn on my hardener while I'm at it. These prospects can't lock until 25 kilometers, so we'll go ahead and wait till we're there, lock it up, and orbit. I'm making this video pre-update where they're modifying all the industry ships, the ore industry ships, such as the prospect and such. So I'll be curious to see how they change things. I know one thing that they're changing is there is no venture anymore. No gas huffing with ventures. So that's why we're in a black hole. I gotta slow down here. So that's why I didn't make a venture fit for any new bros. You have to be flying a prospect for this. Technically speaking, you can do this in a Gnosis, but I recommend it so little that I'm not even going to make a video about that. And now that we got a stable orbit, let's start huffing. And let's go over some math, your favorite thing, right? It wouldn't be Eve if it wasn't spreadsheets on spreadsheets on spreadsheets. So if we look around here, we have all the sites by name. And we also have our sites as the Token and the Bountiful. I'm currently on the Bountiful, which has the C32 and the C28. If we see units per cloud, it tells us there. The ISK per unit, and then therefore the ISK per cloud. This cloud right now has 150-ish million ISK. So when I complete this site, I will walk away with 150 million ISK. The total M3 is right here. My cargo hold is 10,000 M3, which means I'll have to make 3 trips back and forth to Rennes in order to get this entire cloud. And we have the hourly rate right here, ISK per hour. Let me change this to the proper one. Someone has weak skills. This is a public sheet, by the way, so do note this unicorn is messing with things. We can see here that mining the C28, we will mine at 54 million ISK per hour, and mining the C32, we will mine at 37 million ISK per hour. I personally need C32, so I'm going for it first, but that being said, we're going to get everything here until the rat spawn. I told you about the timer. When that timer hits, these rats are going to spawn 6 emergent defenders, 4 awakened defender cruisers. Under normal circumstances, this fit could probably tank it, but these defenders are going to web us, therefore making it so that we can't sig tank, which means we cannot stay on grid for this site. Versus a miner, which only has 2 cruisers with no effects. Therefore, we can stay on grid and happily tank these 2 cruisers and get the entire site. That being said, this site is not worth that much, but it is quick money to grow and grab. Our other site is the Token, which is worth even less, but nonetheless, we'll huff all that too. When huffing, you need to have a couple things out and open and watching for. You're still watching for people that are active PvPers, therefore if you get a new signature spawn, what is it? Is it a wormhole? Because if it is, it might be someone who just rolled their hole, who's looking for content. Their scout's going to come on through, their scout's going to come into here, and then they're going to watch you huff and they're going to try to gank you. Okay. On D-scan, are there probes out? Are there combat probes out? Is there something on D-scan? Is there a saber coming your way? What's going on there? So D-scan, probe scanner, getting you sig watch, very important. You know, little AFK, or you know, just passively huffing while you watch YouTube or something. Your last line of defense is seeing something click up right here and your instant reaction to go right click warp. You have very little time to get out. Theoretically, another destroyer frigate class ship is going to lock you in 2 to 3 seconds, which means your 4-second warp, or currently speaking, your 6-second warp really needs to be on the dot. So when you see someone warp to you, you probably will have time, because they will, if they warp to you right now, they're going to get about back there. These little clouds have a very dangerous characteristic in the fact that they are tiny. They're very little. So be mindful of this, because sabers love it when people huff the little clouds. Let me save location. This thing has a radius of 21 kilometers. So currently, if a saber warps to 0 on this cloud, which the scout will bookmark and save the same way I just did it, its bubble will be 1 kilometer short of getting you. So he'll burn at you for 2 seconds, bubble up, you won't be able to jump. He'll burn at you even more, bubble up again, and you still won't be able to jump. And then he'll get tackle on you. So be mindful of the little clouds. They're dangerous because of sabers. They're not really dangerous for other reasons. Any cruiser-sized covert ops ship is going to struggle to be able to catch you. Any frigate that warps in is going to struggle to be able to catch you. You're going fast, you're moving, and you're not really in a good area for any warp in. So the best they can do is covert ops move around and hope that your orbit finds them, and then they can hopefully decloak and try to catch you. So that's their best bet, which means they're playing the slow, long, unguaranteed game where you're just in a position where you just need to be mindful and warp away. Alright, enough ninja huffing. Let's get to the good stuff, the Jedi Huffing. So what does that mean? Well, in case it hasn't become apparent so far, ninja huffing is when you run away when the rats show up, because you have to, otherwise you will die. Jedi huffing is the opposite. You stay on grid when the rats show up, because you won't die. There's a couple sites that you can Jedi Huff. That's going to be the Instrumental Core Reservoir. That's a really nice C5, C6 gas site that pays very well. And then you can also technically Jedi Huff the Miner, and you can, I would consider it Jedi Huffing, but set up properly on an ordinary, therefore ignoring the sentry guns. So let's get into all those. Alright guys, Grendel in real time here. If you saw in the footage for this start of this site, I was on that little gas cloud there, so be aware they do spawn right on top of you. You have to warp off right away. I did move off because I saw a revelation on my D-scan, and I didn't have Huffing keys, so I went and grabbed some Huffing keys in case he's rolling. But I'm going to continue the video, and this is how you Jedi Huff. So I have myself a handy dandy little ping bookmark. From here, or from anywhere, you're just going to warp to the 320 gas cloud at 100. And once you land, you are going to orbit it. Oh, it's doing that glitch. I really don't. I just recorded this glitch. I have no idea how this glitch works, but you warp exactly like 4,000 off. Warp to within 100. Yeah, that's a weird glitch. Hey, got a glitch in the video. Sweet. Alright, so we're going to warp here at 100. As we land, we're going to make sure we're not too close to these guys. 70 kilometers, perfect. We just want to hope that we get a good orbit. The orbit is random, so you might have to try and retry and try again. turn our afterburners, turn on our shield hardeners. We're going to get the rupper going. We might as well start huffing here. Now, if we go and start heading towards them, we need a reset. More guys you have, if you have 10 guys and you all land at the same time and you all click orbit 500 and one person gets a good orbit, everyone follows them. They're the lead. I myself here am looking to be very lucky. I got a good orbit up. That is going to be a great orbit, yes. That's exactly what we want. Now I'm going to reduce my speed. 1210. You want it around 1200, that way your friends can catch up, and that way you maintain a good distance from the sleepers. They're going to shoot you, they're going to do damage, but they're not going to be able to kill you. Do be warned, if you roll a natural 0, very rare thing, you're going to get a wrecking shot on you, and you will go into structure. You have to warp off after that. Other than that, it's very rare. You can sit here for hours and it's safe. And it's very safe because if someone warps in trying to gank you, now they have 4 sleeper battleships to deal with, and they can have fun with that. I'll just stay on grid and continue huffing unless they're really close to me. But I'll speed this up to show that this is a stable orbit and that nothing's really going to change here.
It will monitor the skills of every person, and you can see whoever is part of a group or part of a fleet or something, and actually see who can fly the ships and what ships they can fly from your dock.
Alright, we are back with a minor perimeter reservoir. It's a lower class site, so not really much to see here other than me proving that this can indeed tank a minor perimeter reservoir. Only 2 cruisers spawn, they don't nuke you, they don't web you, they just shoot at you, so you're able to tank it, and enjoy.
Activating.
Don't be scramming, don't scram.
Scamming. It's too late, you called it late, my bad.
Oh darn.
You boosted all of us.
Yeah, but not him, he was scrammed.
Yeah, Carl didn't call it. I was pointing him so he couldn't run. Gonna bounce.
You're not gonna eat any snacks?
Try to get bumps on him, guys. Pretty much all tapping my fork right now. Try to go the second time maybe. If he's not already gone. Hope he just backs. Yeah. Sorry, I didn't know what we're gonna do. Here's a change the bubble side is scanning.
So I went ahead and left that little bit of combat in there to go ahead and show that many times when I have one of my tunes, my ult, which you've been seeing Huffing this entire time, many of the times my main is somewhere else doing combat things or hunting someone down or scanning down chains. And that's one of the best things about Jedi Huffing is you don't have to worry about the rat spawning because you can tank the rats and you just sit there and let it be. Another thing we can note so far is I'm at 40 million estimate, and that's not bad ISK, especially for something this passive while I'm running around with my main. So keep that in mind. And let's get on to the ordinary, a fun one to set up on. Alright guys, now time for an ordinary. We're going to go ahead, warp 2 at 100. Make sure you are cloaked. I think this wormhole is going to decloak me. Oh, I'm fine. Warp 2 at 100. Keyword here is cloaked. have to be cloaked to set up on an ordinary. You do not have to be cloaked to huff an ordinary, but you need a covert ops ship to at least bookmark the stuff for you. As we land here, see little cloud, big cloud. We're going to ignore the little cloud because all these sentries. So let's do mining. Select the big cloud. Save location. Assuming 2. We're going to warp off grid. Once we're off grid, we're going to warp back to our bookmark. We're going to be warping at 0. As we land here, the cloud's going to decloak us. That's fine. We're going to move 20 kilometers up. Put our afterburner on, shield hardener on, and we will start huffing. This is the only cloud that I huff stationary because you cannot orbit this cloud due to the sentries. So we'll just stay 20 kilometers above the center bookmark. That way sabers can't really get onto us that easily. But we will sit here and we will huff non-stop. And with that, that's all I have for this video. I hope you learned something new today. If not, sorry about that. Otherwise, fly safe or fly dangerous, that's up to you. And have a good one.